and welcome to the first week of our 4-week course, which will examine and break down the 8 brocades form in detail, so that you can then build your own practice, and if you wish you can sort of like continue with that over time. It's a really beautiful ancient practice. It probably dates around, I think it's about 1,000 years old, they think. There's lots of scrolls and scribes with these drawings of sort of like people doing all of these movements from sort of Eastern Asia. So it's a really interesting practice. I'll begin by just a tiny little overview, and I know some of you have joined me before for Qigong practice, that some it might be brand new. Just a real quick recap on what it is to practice Qigong. So Qi means energy or life force, if you want to call it that. It can have many names across many different traditions across the planet, but if we think of it as, you know, energy, and the gong part literally translates as to cultivate or to work with. So in modern day, we apply those principles to bring ourselves back to a place of harmony and balance, so we can interact with daily life in a much more sort of like calm and relaxed manner. So it's really good for stress management. It helps to sort of relax the body, create some spaciousness in the mind, and just brings us back to a place of feeling a little bit more peaceful, connected and calm. So most people want a little bit of that. So, okay. So we're going to start with a really simple practice of grounding. So I invite you to either stand or absolutely you can sit. So all of the practices I'm going to offer today are possible to be done on a chair or even actually lying down, because a lot of the practice is done with directing your awareness towards a very specific intention. So you don't even physically have to move if that capacity is limited or restricted in any way, or there are challenges. So if we begin, we're going to step to the right of the space and just take your arms out and check that you've got like room to move without sort of bashing or crashing into anything. You've got a nice sort of like level floor space to be able to practice. And should you need a chair, it's there as an option. You can also use that for balance as well. So with the feet together, we're going to step the left foot out very slowly, lifting the left foot. And with a sense of sort of control, we place the foot down. So we create this sort of spaciousness straight away in the body. We're opening the body up to let tensions and any intensity to drain down through the soles of the feet. So spread your toes, even lift your toes a little if you're able, so you create space and start to open up the joint cavities and spaces. Place the toes down onto the floor. And there's a concept that I'm going to invite you to sort of reflect and maybe just meditate on after the class, of song. So song translates as being alert and relaxed. Like a pine tree would stand rooted and aligned, yet it's able to move freely with the winds. It doesn't resist or hold on or grasp in any way. We're working with that quality of feeling strong, yet we're not building tension or intensity. We don't want to waste any energy. We want to cultivate it and conserve it. So from this position of being rooted, we invite this concept of sung to relax, to let tensions melt away from the body, especially the shoulders. We often hold the shoulders up, don't we? We create tension. Relax, soften, yield a little. If we have strong roots, we are able to rise and meet the challenges of life. So feeling into the root, we then align between the earth and the sky and rise up through the crown. Let your arms float out either side of the body as if they are floating in sort of warm, viscous liquid. So there's an effortless quality there. And we're just coming to a place where we can just be aware of ourselves And we can use this as a process of arriving in this moment, checking in, and just pausing. It's not very often we get to be still and just come back to the present moment. So maybe you can hear the pitter-patter of the rain against the window sills, the window panes. It's quite a cool, dark day, so it's a really nice opportunity to just feel really safe and warm and secure in your home, warm, comfortable. If you wish, there's an opportunity to close your eyes, but you don't have to. You can just soften the gaze and be aware of evening out the weight in the soles of the feet. So we're neither leaning forwards or backwards. So to become aligned, we need to be aware of the tailbone sinking down, the chest being soft, the belly being relaxed, but we don't collapse. There is a feeling of drawing up. So the spine becomes long and we start to build the muscles either side of the spine to become more strong. And we're aiming to improve posture, which has an absolute amazing knock-on effect on how well we breathe. So we're more open and spacious in the cavity of the body to take in oxygen. So chin in towards the chest. Very softly, we're going to bring the tongue to rest on the roof of the mouth. And begin to come to be aware of your breath. So we don't need to change the breath in any way. We're just noticing it and allowing our awareness to focus a little further within our own experience rather than it being sort of scattered or focused anywhere else or on anyone else. Become aware of how it feels to just stand or sit and notice. Noticing the breath. Maybe we can become aware of sounds within our vicinity. All of these practices are just helping to keep us here now rather than scattered, overstretched. Feeling into the soles of our feet, feeling into our roots. Just an invitation now to start to scan your own body for areas that may feel like they're holding or grasping or resisting that song, that relaxed state of being awake, alert. We're not zoning out, we're not dropping out. We're present. Breathing naturally. Strong in the back body, soft through the front line of the body. This pose literally translates as emptiness stance. So we're creating that beautiful space to come back to ourselves. Let's begin now to interlace the fingers. So we're starting to just become a little bit more directive in our breathing practices. So turning the palms down. As we next breathe in, we draw the hands down towards the ground. As we breathe out, we draw the hands back up towards the space underneath the ribs. Breathing in, finding your own pace, your own rhythm. So not needing to follow my pace or my way of breathing. Finding your own way, your own path. This practice can be a really grounding beginnings of developing a more sort of like focused Qigong practice. Everything is linked, the breath, the movement, the form, flow. It's just getting us primed and starting our training. Breathing in, we invite the breath to lengthen. Breathing out, we softly release and let go. Encouraging the breath to move down into the belly. This has a powerful effect on our nervous system and being able to self-regulate, finding a sense of calm and ease and a deeper sense of relaxation, which allows us to start to feel more connected, more safe, more whole, more balanced and harmonized within. Breathing out. Slowing the breath down, taking our time to just notice how we feel. As we now release the hands, and we're going to then turn the palms up and continue our breathing practice, but just starting to refine the movement a little more. As we now breathe out, we push down, so it sort of switches. We can even begin to bend the knees a little as we sink the tailbone down towards the ground. Breathing in. And breathing out. There feels a sense of intensity, or you're feeling like you need to have a big sigh. Really just actioning whatever's here as you begin to journey back home towards your own sense of self. Breathing in. And breathing out. So as we continue, just noticing if anything's shifting or changing within your own experience. Just through these very simple practices of moving and breathing in rhythm. Rising up, breathing in. Releasing down, sinking into our roots as we let go of that exhalation. Let's begin to extend that movement with the breath a little now, remembering to work with what's here for you. So if you've got any limited mobility or movement in the shoulders, just work in a way that's comfortable. Breathing in, drawing the arms up towards the heavens. Breathing out, bringing the hands down through the center line of the body so the middle fingers point towards one another, palms pushing down to the earth. Working in a way that is relaxed. We are present and awake and alert of all our actions. Further cultivating this concept of sun, relaxed, awake, alert and at ease. Modern life often sort of dictates these vast pendulum swings of states from the majority of us. We're either exhausted and depleted. We tend to switch off and zone out when we're relaxed, and that's how we associate relaxation. Or we're wired and going at 100 miles an hour to try and achieve all the roles, responsibilities that we have in life. This just gives us this balance, this opportunity to come back to a place where we can integrate the two and prevent depletion and that exhaustion that comes from swinging from one sort of extreme state to another. Time for ourselves, time to just be in the moment, time to breathe and move with ease and flow. Helping to warm up the shoulders, sort of stretch out the spine. Then bring the hands down. Let's place the hands on the belly. This space is quite significant in Qigong practice. It's believed to be a place where we store energy. So we often visualize or bring in the intention to gather energy that we might have cultivated to rest here. Like a cauldron or a field or an elixir that gathers. There's energy that we can draw upon when we're on low levels. Just notice how you feel. Notice how you stand between earth and sky. Keep coming back to that feeling of relaxing, letting go of excess tension or gripping or grasping, clenching or holding. Bring the hands down. We're going to now start to move through our 5 gates practice. So we're going to open up the joints. So if you stand just on your right foot now, remember you can use anything to help with balance if you need something. You can rest your hands on a chair. I'm going to roll the ankle on the left side, getting into the joint, creating that opportunity to massage inside the joint capsule, moving energy through, opening up to warmth. You can imagine that in the winter things get frozen and rigid and fixed through being tense because we're cold. So we're just imagining that any ice crystals that have formed, we're starting to melt them and we're warming the joint, allowing energy to flow like warm water, warm liquid through the ankle. So work both ways. And then bring that foot down and then over to the right, lifting the right heel, rolling the right ankle. All of these individual practices can be done in their own right. You don't need an hour to practice. You could have 5 minutes or even 2 minutes and it will make a difference. It has an effect. So it's such an accessible practice. You don't need anything. You don't need a lot of space. And then bring that right foot down. We're going to bring the feet together. Bringing the hands onto the knees, making what is called tiger's mouth in Qigong. So there's like an L shape. Thumbs inside of the kneecaps, fingers around the outside, and we roll the knees in whatever capacity or level of movement and mobility we have. You can sink the tailbone right down, or you can just do really small circles. But you can feel you're getting right into the joints here. And it's creating, again, mobility, warmth, hydration, which is really important in the joints, especially if you're getting lots of creaking and cracking. Go both ways. We're working through the gates, so we've moved through the ankles, the knees, rolling ourselves back up to standing, taking the feet back to shoulders width apart. I'm going to bring the hands into the mid back and just circle the hips. So you're now getting right into your hip sockets. So be mindful of not doing huge circles. It's not so much about how grand the circles are. It's more about targeting the area of the top of the thigh bone, feeling it moving round inside the hip socket. Go back the other way. It's a nice check-in for your lower back as well, if that's a little bit sort of achy or touchy. And then we're going to move to start to mobilize the spine a little bit more. Let the hands rest down by your sides, and we're going to start to just move the upper body. So my knees don't move, my hips aren't really moving, my pelvis is quite sort of static and stable. And the movement comes from center. If you visualize the quality of dropping a pebble into a still pond or lake, and the rippling creates this effect on the surface of the water, we're looking to have that rippling effect of movement out from our center. And as we start to build momentum, the arms can then join in and start to create that force to lift and swing. And notice that it's the upper body that is moving. My spine is starting to twist and coil. And it's a really important movement that helps keep the spine mobile and healthy. Twist, let the arms swing. We can let the hands tap back of the body. So there's a little bit of a space in the back of the body in Chinese medicine called the gate of life. So tap that. And also you're reaching around for the kidney area as well, stimulating the kidneys. It's a good way to get energy moving if there's stagnation and we've not been able to get out or we've not been able to move as much as we would like. This is a really good one. You've been sat for a long time or even stood. Okay, now let those arms slowly come back to just hanging, shoulders soft, and an invitation to just stand and be aware of your sensations that you might be experiencing. Maybe you can feel warmth, tingling, pulsing. Just notice all that lovely energy that we're starting to get to move, to dance, to shift, to flow within us. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit more into the shoulders. Also, I just want to stimulate the arms a little. So it's like we're walking on the spot. Arms swing forwards and backwards. And that will also have an effect on just gently sort of mobilizing the spine. Be aware of not being like sort of really rigid and holding the arms. Be really soft and supple. Cultivating this quality of song, relaxed. Think about the qualities of a pine tree. Again, when it's moving with the wind, it doesn't resist. The branches just move and bend. And then slow that one down. That's going to get things moving in the upper body, especially if we're feeling cold and some damp's getting in from the weather. Just roll the shoulders. So just keeping this idea of moving energy through the body. So we avoid stagnation, we avoid depletion, and in the unlikely event that we have an excess of energy, we also release that too. And then have a little shake. So just opening everything up, getting that warmth and that flow into the joints. It's a good way to test whether we're holding as well, because often we can't, might not be able to shake. So just invite a looseness, a softness. Think of a quality of if we had long hair in a bun and we were to release it, how it would flow like silk. So this effortless. Little twist to your left, a little twist to your right. And then back to center. And then come back to stillness. Big breath in through the nose this time. And a sigh out through the mouth. A couple more times. Breathe in. One more. And then we're going to just bring in a little bit of an opportunity to just awaken. We have pathways in Chinese medicine known as meridians. Some of you may have heard of that before. And we're just going to give that a little tap and just get energy really moving. It's a really good, healthy way to sort of stimulate the nerve endings in the skin and get chi flowing and warmth and energy to the surface. So if you turn your left arm over, you can either pat or stroke, depending on how you're feeling. If you want a gentler approach, you can stroke. And we're moving with the direction of the chi flow in the upper body. As the course progresses, you may hear me sort of talking about the concepts of yin and yang a little more. And we are now working with the yin pathways or meridians that carry energy to and from the major organs in the body, according to Chinese medicine. We're working with the lungs and the heart right now, in particular. We're patting those, invigorating and bringing chi to flow more effectively and efficiently. And then over to your right arm and down. So the meridians come from the chest down and exit into the fingertips. So we're working to get that chi flowing better. And then just notice, can you feel that? You feel a real sense of like tingling and vitality and energy moving within your body. You might even feel it in the chest because we've been stimulating the heart and the lung meridians. So we move to the yang meridians in the upper body. We're going to turn the left arm over and tap with the right hand or stroke up the back of the arm. We're now working with the yang channels or meridians that support and help the yin meridians organs. We're working actually here with the small intestine and the large intestine. So it seems strange, but we're actually helping to aid digestion by tapping the backs of the arms. And then over the other side, so up the back of the right arm. Remembering the option to stroke if you want to be a bit more gentle with yourself today. Oh, that's good. Hopefully you can feel that too. And then we're going to work up the inner thighs from down as far as you can bend. So if you can only find that it's comfortable to get to the insides of the knees or the thighs, that's absolutely fine. If you're able to move down a little lower towards the outsides of your feet, insides of your feet and ankles, we tap up insides of the legs, up over the fronts of the hips and underneath the ribs, and then just tap underneath the collarbones. We'll do that a few times. Remember this concept of working with and cultivating energy. We can really start to tell that we're getting things shifting with these practices. Just avoid any soft tissue over the chest. Tap up the meridians. So we're working with the yin meridians in the lower body that come up into the body through the legs. And then we're going to work down the sides of the body for the yang meridians. So nice soft fists. And down the outsides of the body, down the outsides of the thighs, the sides of the knees, down towards the ankles as far as you can comfortably reach. And just keep checking in with yourself as well. If anything feels a little bit too much, or you feel a little sort of like heated or a little dizzy, just stop, sit down, take a few breaths, have a little drink of water, because it does get things shifting. Wonderful. And then our final meridians, we run down the backs of the legs. So if you place your hands into the small of the back and breathe down over the glutes, over the backs of the thighs, backs of the knees, down. This is the only channel that we're not going to tap. We're going to be a bit more gentle with. Soft, fluid, over, down the backs of the legs. So we've done all this lovely work with the meridians to stimulate chi flow. We've worked through our 5 gates, opening up the joints. So we're going to move into our practice in a moment. So just take a moment now to rise. And just take a few deep breaths in through the nose, if you're able, and then out through the mouth. Just notice how you feel. Just keep coming back and being aware, taking stock. Invitation to softly close your eyes. Notice if you're starting to feel more awake, more alert, but still relaxed and at ease. So we're blending those states. So we're going to begin our 8 brocades. So there is a quality of moving like silk. So this is an invitation here to be aware of working with really, really clear intention. So just to clarify what that sort of feels like in your own experience, just do a little experiment and then we're going to come back to the practice. So if we bring our arms out, we sink the tailbone, turn the toes out a little. And we imagine that we were going to stand here for some time. We're not going to, but if we were, what would it feel like if we had the quality of holding feathers in both palms of the hand? So closing our eyes and imagining we're just cradling light, fluffy feathers, small white feathers, the type that you see blown round in the wind when the birds are sort of like shedding their little baby feathers in springtime. Just hold and cradle those light feathers in the palms of our hands. And then become aware of those feathers transforming into imaginary big bowling balls. Imagine the weight of holding 2 bowling balls and feel into the quality of how that might shift your internal experience just by moving your intention deliberately. It may have increased that sort of sense of heaviness and challenge in holding the arms out like this. So come back to holding the feathers And let your arms float down, like feathers floating down from the sky to the ground. And then give everything a little shake. And then we're going to move into our practice. So we're going to look at the first 3 of our 8 brocades today. And then we'll recap on those next week. And then we'll introduce another 3. So we're going to start with the first practice. So come to stand with your feet around hips width apart now. So maybe just bringing them in a little closer together. We're going to stand nice and tall, but relaxed and soft. So be aware of not locking the knees or tilting the pelvis forwards or closing and tilting the pelvis back, depending on your sort of habitual posture patterns. Be aware of standing tall, rooted and aligned. And when you're next ready to start to breathe in, I'm going to invite you to bring the hands up through the center line of the body. When you get to the chest or just underneath the chin, we're going to turn the palms up and rise up, stretch up towards the ceiling, opening up the shoulders, stretching the spine, tailbone still drawing down, crown lifting, and then very softly, being aware of moving like silk falling to the ground. Bring the arms down so there is an effortless quality there. So breathing in, soft, effortless, light. Draw the hands up towards the heavens. Push with the palms so we get a little stretch for the wrists as well. Bring the hands down. Soft, flowing, like silk. Relaxed. So this practice is called 2 hands support the heavens. So there is this quality of holding up the sky. We expand, we reach, we lift, and then we release and return, rooted and grounded. But just continue to open the shoulders, lightly lift the arms, push up towards the ceiling, the heavens. So there is that expansive, stretching, lifting quality. It feels quite strong depending on how much effort we're putting in. So don't overexert or overstretch, but make a decision to work with the energy levels that you have here now today. They'll always change. So there is an extra little element of balance in this practice, which is again always an invitation. So if we wish, as we rise, as the arms lift and the palms turn up, we can lift onto the heels. And then breathe out. So it becomes really quite strong in the ankles, really supports balance, strengthening the ankles, the calves. So as we lift, breathe in and breathe out. And it's quite normal, I felt it then, to feel a bit wobbly and to step forwards and come out of center. So just be really kind to yourself and just try things. See how we feel if we approach our practice with a sense of curiosity and openness rather than sort of sheer grit and determination to get it right first time. Just soft, open, flowing, like that quality of silk, rising, lifting, drawing down. Absolutely can take a break if we need to, sit down if we need to, use visualization and our imagination to practice if it's starting to feel a little intense. If there were challenges in the shoulders, we could make much smaller movements with intention. Or we could just bring the hands up, and lift, So working with what's here, not pushing, not depleting, not overstretching, or using any excess energy to practice. We don't want to waste a drop. We are cultivators. We are building our energy stores. So really work with that concept. Breathing out, bringing the hands down. Rising, lifting. Let's do 2 more together. 2 hands support the heavens is our first of 8. And it's associated with the element of fire. And we're working with that sort of expansive energy of the sun and summertime. And it's believed to be very nourishing for our inner thermostatic system that doesn't have Western medicine sort of counterpart, but in Eastern medicine, in Chinese medicine, it's known as the triple burner. You could liken it to sort of like the digestive system working really efficiently, which then sends heat and warmth up to help support the respiratory system. And moves up to help keep the mind clear. Breathing up through the 3 centers, lifting to the heavens, bringing the hands down. Beautiful. Okay, so take a moment and just maybe step a little wider. Let's just reverse that movement a moment before we move to our second form by just breathing in and working with intention. We will gather and we'll clear out anything that's sort of been dislodged from the practice. Imagine we're sort of moving and shifting anything through the body, gifting it down into the earth in the form of compost. Having created space, we can gather and bring in all the benefits of the practice. Seal that in. And then one more time, breathe in. And breathe out as we now slowly move to our second form, which is called raise the hands to condition the stomach and the spleen. I'm not expecting anyone to remember this, by the way. So breathe in. So I'm going to go a little slower with this one. Bring the hands. This is probably one of the more challenging or slightly more complex forms. Hands rest just underneath the navel. And then we're going to turn the left palm to face down. So turn the palm to face in towards your body and then turn it down towards the ground. Then we're going to turn the right palm forwards and up towards the ceiling. Take the feet a little wider, bend the knees a little, and we are pushing down towards the earth and we are rising up towards the sky. So you feel this polarizing sort of like push and lift. My left palm is pointing down towards the ground. My right palm is lifting towards the sky. And then I return to my center. Bring the hands down so the left hand rises, right hand comes down towards the earth. Then I turn the left palm down towards the crown of the head. The right hand comes to rise up towards the heavens. And I push and I return as if I'm coming back to like holding a ball or the earth in between the palms of the hands. Turn the right palm down towards the earth. Turn the left palm up and push. Bend the knees a little. Left hand down, right arm rises. Right palm faces down, left palm turns up. As if you were squeezing and compressing something between the palms of the hands. You come back to your center. This is an earth element practice. Earth's associated with center, the position of center. Left palm down, right palm rises. Push and rise. Bring the hands out. Turn the right palm up, the left palm down, and again, imagine you are just squeezing, coming back to center, holding a ball of chi, or as if you're holding the earth between the palms of the hand. Right palm down, left palm up, push, down to earth, up to sky, and then rise and return. Bring the left hand down, up, rises the right, and then come back to that ball of chi. Being really careful to hold your chi ball at your physical center, the center of your body. So sometimes it can creep up and it affects the shoulders. Keep everything soft. So let's move a little more fluidly. Left arm down, right hand rises. Arms extend, and then left hand rises, right hand comes up, back to center. Right hand down, left arm rises, push, and return. Push. And then return to center. Right hand down, left arm rises. You can look up a little if that feels okay in your neck. You bring that top hand up towards the ceiling. And this is a little more complex, so just let your breath, be really aware of your breath, just being natural and not trying to synchronize it too much with the movement. That comes with time and practice. Beautiful. Okay. So coming to a gentle conclusion for our second form, just holding the left hand up, the right palm down, just being aware of that space between the hands. And then let's bring in that opportunity to just mobilize the chi. Let's clear out anything that's bubbled to the surface, that which can be let go of, released, not needed. Maybe we're moving towards feeling a little bit more open and spacious and at ease. So letting go of tensions, rigidity, anything that feels tight. Welcoming in that sense of harmony and peace and tranquility that we're moving towards with our practice of Qigong to cultivate health and wellness, seeing that potential and capacity to work with our own internal energy systems in as we move to our third form. So a little stronger physically, so lots of options to take it to the level that you feel is appropriate today. So we're going to be standing in the right place. If you need to just take a moment to sort of release tension, because we've been stood a while. Qigong is very strong in the legs, and the reason for that is we're believed to age from the ground up. So strong legs helps to create longevity and health and wellness in more mature years. So standing back wide, probably around shoulders width apart. Turn the toes out a little, maybe about 30 degrees. Really important, this one, is to notice that you are not sinking the tailbone backwards or leaning forwards in your practice. It's a sinking down. Again, think about the tailbone being like the roots of a tree. They're sinking down deep into the earth. And the crown of your head is like the canopy and the juicy green leaves right at the top of the forest. And we need to be able to reach towards the light. So don't sort of flex and bend too much. It does take practice, but feel what it is to keep the pelvis level, down, sinking. If you were to imagine your pelvis is like a bowl of water, you don't want to spill water forwards or backwards. You want to try and keep it level without spilling a drop. So it can be strong on the legs, so you don't need to go too far. And if you don't have too much of a bend in the knees, it could be really little. It could be really like a micro movement. Equally, if you want to go really strong, build real strength and feel that, you can go quite deep. So the knees bend out towards the little toes. Watch that the knees don't collapse in, because we don't want to twist that joint. We want to make it strong. So keeping the hips and the knees and the ankles and the toes aligned. So just check. Take a look down. You may need to turn the toes in, out more. It's your anatomy that you're led by that's going to lead you to the correct alignment for your body. So just check that feels okay. And then we're going to bring the arms in. So going to cross the arms. We're going to always work to the right first, because we're now working with the wood element, and this is a yang form for the springtime. So let's start with just making very soft fists, and this is called opening the golden bow to let the arrow fly. So we're going to become archers. So our left arm is going to travel back. Be aware of just holding very lightly this imaginary string of the bow, just creating enough tension. Your left elbow is drawing back and it's parallel to the shoulder. Make sure it doesn't go up or sink down, and there's a softness there. And as we open the bow, we then take aim with our right hand. We make an L shape with the finger and the thumb and open the bow. And let your eye gaze towards that space where your imaginary arrow would rest. So we open the bow and we sink. Check that you're not locking the right elbow and that the arm is soft. So we sink, then we rise, so we help soften in the intensity in the legs. Bring the hands to cross. And then we move to the left. So the right arm moves back. We hold the tension with the fingers of this imaginary string, and we sink and rise. It takes practice. It does increase our sort of ability to know where we are in space, proprioception. And the breath is quite important with this one. Breathe out to come back, to soften, and give yourself that power to breathe in as you sink. Breathe out to return, and your head turns back to center. Breathe out and open your bow to let your golden arrow fly. Be aware of not twisting. Sometimes we can end up sort of going to the side. The spine is long and the chest is very sort of like stable. So my body isn't moving. I'm not sort of going off at a tangent and twisting the spine. There's very much a sense of extension. Remember, the tailbone is rooting down like the trunk, the roots of a tree. Crown is the canopy lifting up towards the light. So turn the head, sink the tailbone, open your bow, and then come back to center as you breathe out. One more time to the right. One more time to the left. Then bring the hands back. Bring the hands down. Walk the feet a little closer. So roughly shoulders width apart if they were a little wider. Breathe in. And we'll bring this to its gentle conclusion. We've done our 3 forms. We've done our warm-ups, our energy work for today. So if we gather peaceful chi, bring that peaceful chi in and down just to settle and soothe and consolidate the practice. Come back into our stance that we began. So just softening and bending the knees so that the arms float out. Tongue coming back to rest on the roof of the mouth. If it feels comfortable, I invite you to just softly close your eyes for a few breaths. And just allow yourself to settle into this moment. Just be aware of how you feel. You've just done a full hour of energy cultivation. Take a moment to create a very soft smile on the lips so your face is fully relaxed. And if you wish, there's an invitation to turn that smile inwards towards yourself for the practice that you've experienced and for the work that you've done on yourself today. Maybe just smile down to the center of the chest, as if you're smiling down towards your heart. And then open our eyes if they're closed. Let's take a minute to just relax. Don't worry about alignment. Just let everything hang. Maybe a little wriggle and a movement in the joints. Release any final residual bits of tension that are hanging on. And then we're going to make a very soft fist with our left hand. Invitation to turn the left thumb in and then curl the fingertips around the left thumb. So this is our yin side, our soft and gentle side. We bring the yang in, which is a little more sort of hard. And we let soft meet hard, yin meet yang. And we bring the two back together in harmony and balance. We bow. So there's an honouring of the practice that we've shared. We bow to ourselves and we bow to each other. As we rise, we come back up to root, through the feet, lift through the crown. And then we bow to our teachers. Always honour the teachers from our past, our present, and our future teachers yet to appear. And then finally we bow to families, our ancestral lines, all the way back to the source that is in Act 1, that from which all things arise and return. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining me for week 1, and I look forward to seeing you for week 2. Thank you.